Hi mate, are you in the gym, but every time you do deadlifts, you seem to get some lower back pain? Well, you're in luck. Today, I'm gonna give you 3 different alternatives to deadlifts so that you can get over your back pain, steer clear of angering up your back, and still make gains in the gym. Let's check it out. Hi mate, my name's Adam and I help you return to the gym and stay there. So we're talking about exercises that you can do if you're currently in back pain, but you still want to train. So we're going through 3 different exercises for these. So what the main difference with all of these is they just put a lot less strain on your lower back, okay? These ones are a lot easier to hold a better position when you're doing some heavy lifting, and it really changes up where the load is coming from. So the first one we're going through is the hip thruster. So rather than the load like for a deadlift where it's pulling you into a more flexion point here, so the load is just simply pulling you in a different direction so that it doesn't challenge your lower back as much as a normal conventional deadlift. But the good thing with all these different movements, they're still going to be working your glutes and hamstrings or that hip hinge pattern, but it's just going to be doing it in a different way. So you're still going to be getting gains, but you're going to be less likely to have that back pain. So the idea is to start doing these exercises, build up a bit more confidence in these similar movements, and then once you get really confident in these movements, slowly progress into getting back into deadlifts and those other positions that used to give you back pain. Because if you never go back to those movements, you really haven't beaten your back pain until you can do the things that used to cause the pain in the first place. Okay, so let's set up for the hip thruster. So you'll need one of these pads here. So just when you start to load up a bit weight, it doesn't kill your pubic bone, okay? So with these, so we're gonna unload the barbell like so. And we're sitting on the floor. So I haven't got any weight on here just so that you can see what my hips are doing, but usually you've got, I recommend just having the Olympic size weights here so that you can lift it up onto your hips a lot easier. So probably the hardest part for this one is actually getting your hips up in the position, especially if you've got heavy weight going on here. And this is a movement that you can really overload. So what we want to do is grab, you want to grip it about 1.5, just a little bit outside of shoulder width, nice and wide. Where we want our feet is when we're going at the top part of it, we want them in a 90-degree angle, okay? So we don't want to be pressing up and our feet to be here or out there too much. We want a 90-90 position. So, and when we're going for the top portion of the hip thruster, we don't want to overdo it, which is something I do quite a bit because I've got quite a bit of mobility in my lower back and whatnot, is some people tend to go all the way up and then you'll start to arch your lower back and your erectors kick in. If you've got back pain, this generally isn't going to help you out. It's probably going to stir it up a little bit. So you want to just focus on squeezing your butt and driving your knees out and stopping at parallel to the floor, okay? Also, just make sure that when you've got your bench or box, that it's just under where your shoulder blades are. So we don't want it too high up here, like so, otherwise we can't really go further down, or too low because then we start to fall away from the bench. So you want it just under your shoulder blades or mid-back here so that we can get enough range of motion up and enough range of motion down towards the floor. So this is what the hip thruster looks like. So you come back down, your chest faces forward, and our chest is gonna move from facing the wall here to facing up to the sky. So if you watch facing there and then driving up, squeezing the butt, and then facing up to the sky. So we don't want to be doing this sort of thing where we arch, okay? We're looking forward, come down, and chest goes up, okay? Another great alternative to deadlifting, if you're lucky enough to have one of these in your gym, is a hex bar or trap bar. So the reason why the trap bar deadlift is a lot nicer on the lower back is, one, is that the handles are a lot higher up, and they allow for your hands to sit neutral, as in they're by your side rather than much more over. When we're doing a deadlift, if we've got our arms out front, we have to really work hard to keep that back in more neutral position. Whereas if it's by our sides, the weight, it's more neutral, it's gonna make it a lot easier for us, okay? And because of these two things, we're actually able to sit back into the deadlift rather than lean over to get the weight up. Okay, so usually with a deadlift, you would sit further back here, but with the trap bar deadlift, I can actually sit with a bit more of an upright torso and allow my knees to come forward a bit more, which causes a lot less strain on our back. So if you look at this position here, and then a normal deadlift would be more so down in that position, okay? So it just allows you to get into an easy position that your body should be able to handle a lot better. So this is what your trap bar deadlift looks like. It's a bit like between a squat and a deadlift, okay? So you're gonna still sit back a little bit, like so, knees a little bit more bent, and then pressing up like so. Okay? The trap bar is great because you're still gonna get those very similar benefits that you would get out of your normal conventional deadlift, but it's just gonna feel a lot more comfortable on that lower back. Okay, so for this next one is we start to add in a deadlift variation that gets your core working. So basically we just load you in a position where your core is gonna switch on a lot more, okay? What's good about this one, so this is called your suitcase deadlift, is that because we're just holding it in one hand, it's actually gonna limit you in how much weight you're going to lift, but it's still gonna feel quite hard to lift up, okay? When we're loaded on both sides, our body doesn't have to worry about stabilizing as much, and that way we can lift a lot more weight like we would in the trap bar deadlift, okay? So the way we work for this one, the suitcase deadlift, is we're going to sit back down. It's going to be very similar position to how the trap bar deadlift would work. In other words, we wouldn't sit back that much there. Our knees are going to come forward a little bit better because the weight isn't in front of us, it's more to the side of us, okay? So usually I'll do this with a kettlebell because it's got a bit of height on there, or you can raise the kettlebell up if you really need to. So what you're still doing is just sitting back a little bit, your knees are gonna travel forward a bit, and you're gonna really focus on gripping that weight and trying not to let your body spill over to one side. So you've got to grip that weight, try to stay as upright as you can, and then drag that all the way up. And when I'm lifting that up, I can really feel that in my obliques on the opposite side, trying not to let me spill over, okay? So if you look at it from the front, so we're sitting back here, and I'm pressing that up like so, or dragging that up and then dragging that back down. So generally people who have back pain find that this does help them out because it forces your body to be in an extra stable position before it lifts some heavy weight. Whereas with your conventional deadlift or your more bilateral movements where you've got weight on both sides, you don't have to think about what your core is doing that much because it's the weight kind of evens you out. With just a single weight on one side, you really have to work hard to stop yourself from collapsing on that one side, and you get a lot more core activation. Your body feels safer and therefore doesn't give you as much pain. Anyway, that's it for me. So I hope any of those variations really help you working around your back pain so that you can still keep on lifting and then get on the right track to getting over that back pain. Like I said before, these are good things to be doing while your back pain is flared up for a bit. But I strongly recommend you trying to ease your way back into those movements that were causing you back pain in the first place. If you're finding that you keep returning to the gym and your back pain seems to come back, well, I've got a little guide called the 7 lifts to bulletproof your body after injury, okay? So I'll drop that down in the description down below for you to download. Just a little guide with some key tips to the top 7 lifts that you would normally do in the gym, making sure that you're doing them correctly, the safest way, so that there's less likelihood of your injury or pain to ever come back when you return. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up so more people can see it. And if you want to see more great videos like this, please make sure to subscribe too. My name's Adam and I help you return to the gym and stay there.